All right, so as I mentioned, this next one is going to be about blockchain, of course, and how it could be a game changer for the small and medium enterprise. That's what we will be talking about. The session is going to be moderated by Mr. Rajay Kapoor, who's the founder, Indian Blockchain Alliance. And the panel would have Mr. Tobias Bauer, principal for Blockchain Founder Fund. You just heard him. Mr. David Soto, who is the business developer director for Softtek, and Mr. Mohammad Alblooshi, who is the sector head, FinTech and Innovation, Dubai International Financial Center Authority. So we'll have them joining us in for a very, very relevant topic. Please enjoy this session. This is also happening to be the last one for today. Can we have the panelist and our moderator on the stage, please? Over to you. The stage is yours.
Working? All right, guys. When I was in school, I was in St. Columbus High School, Delhi, and they used to say, the first shall be the last and last shall be the first. So saith the Lord. And with that, this is my last session. This is our last session. Tomorrow is my first session. I have another session tomorrow. So that's why I use this quote for all of us out here. I'm glad some of you guys are still sitting here. I love that. All right. We got some great guys with us. We've got a lovely subject because, frankly speaking, the MSME sector, or the small and medium sector, is the sector which is the backbone of every economy. And here we are actually going to, we have got great panelists out here, there's great guys out here. I want to also not only just see how we are actually making an impact with blockchain, but how it's also going to be making in the future. One of the biggest things, we call it as a game changer, and I'm not saying it's only for the MSME sector, friends, it's also for every sector, but MSME sector is the backbone of most nations. So we're going to call this session, our last session, not just a game changer, but a game changer for every sector, not just for the SME sector. All right, guys, all ready? All right, everybody knows we've been introduced, so I'm not going to spend more time in introductions. I think everyone could just give us a couple of lines of introduction, and then I'll get right to the questions. Tobias, I'm going to hand it over to you now.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me. Right up to the next, panel here, and I just came all the way from Singapore. I'm super excited to be here. Like I mentioned before, I see so much potential in the Indian market, and we carved out a portion of the fund to invest specifically in India. We have already invested in more than 100 companies over the last 4 years within the blockchain and the crypto space all around the world. Predominantly, it's still the US or sort of Southeast Asia. It's now the second fund, which we're super excited. I started my career in private equity, so I worked a lot with small and medium-sized businesses to help them being acquired, to get them new cash flow, and of course we sold a lot of them to like larger organizations as well. So yeah, I love the space, and I see already so many early stage companies collaborating with small and medium-sized businesses, and I'm happy to share some of the success stories. And that's sort of all I can say for now.
Hi, my name is David Soto. I am a business development director for Softtek, mainly working for Latin America, and we are specialized in digital transformation, innovation, and of course blockchain is one of the pillars that we use to bring our customers to the new era. And thanks to this speed up that we have during COVID, blockchain is getting each time faster, and stronger. And I think SMEs are one of the biggest sectors that are going to have these benefits and will help them to move forward in such a way that they couldn't have earlier. So let's see.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammad. I'm from the Dubai government. I technically look after FinTech, FinTech sector development. I also look after the physical ecosystem. We have a physical ecosystem in the city of Dubai, which comprises of about five to 600 FinTech companies. I've been in this space for about 5-6 years. I was a banker before that. But in the last 5-6 years, I have been spending most of my time with fintech startups, founders, fintech hubs all over the world, and it's quite exciting. And the subject is very close to my heart, and it's very exciting. I'm very excited to be here in Delhi for the first time, and in India after the pandemic. So I look forward to this session today. I did speak this morning as well, but I'm more excited about this session because I feel I'll get to learn something from this session.
Right. Thanks, guys. Now we know each other. Let's get straight. We got 25 minutes. I'm going to get everybody lots of time to speak. You've spoken just now, so I'm going to let your throat rest a little bit, Tobias. I'm going to start with you, Mohammad. Yes? You said the right thing. This is going to be one of the most interesting sessions. So let's have it from you. All right. First question to you. Mohammad, what do you think are the biggest challenges faced right now in the small and medium enterprise, especially keeping in mind that we have very few use cases to really talk about? So could you share something more?
Sure. Again, keeping blockchain as the basis of this conversation, I think the biggest challenge that we're facing, first of all, I do wear a regulatory hat as well. I would say regulation is the biggest challenge that companies are facing all over the world. And yes, there are progressive governments all over the world that are trying to regulate the space. But still, there's a long way to go. I think still, I say this because today, I guess on this panel, I want to represent my clients, not the entity that I work for. But I think our clients are still facing challenges. I do spend time with most of these blockchain players all over the world, and everyone's looking for a jurisdiction that is a bit more friendlier when it comes to regs. So I think regulation is the biggest challenge. Secondly, talent is the biggest challenge. I think I would say for blockchain and for tech in general, globally, there is a war on talent, and I say this again, looking at what's happening. And I think in blockchain space, it becomes even more tricky because very rarely you find people that actually understand the space. I don't. I have no shame in saying that, but it's very difficult to find the right people in the space, let alone on the business side. On the regulatory side, how many of you know people that actually understand how to regulate blockchain or how to regulate crypto? I mean, this is a major challenge, and our regulator actually says this to us. So regulation is a big challenge. And I think actual basic know-how, we want to implement blockchain. Yes, the Dubai government had a national mandate of implementing blockchain, but then internally in organizations and in government bodies, there's no know-how around it, not even the basic knowledge. So how do you implement something which you don't even understand? So that is a challenge and continues to be a challenge. Yeah.
It is. Right, well said. That is one of the biggest challenges, yes. And it's global. It's not just for Dubai or India. It's a global challenge. So I come to you, David. I have a question for you. Talking about challenges, he mentioned regulatory, and compliance, which are real challenges. Yes, we talk about a lot of the biggest challenge I still see is that, forget SMEs, do they have the propensity to actually get into blockchain, or is it only for large organizations? We talk about large organizations, large blockchains. What about the small and medium enterprise? What's your thought on that?
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point because blockchain is going to help SMEs to fight against corporations and to get the best part of SMEs, so more with more power. And so, for example, if we take SMEs, one of the problems they have is they don't have the power of the corporations. With the blockchain, they could use the biggest pillars of blockchain, which are collaboration, uh, to be transparent, and without collaboration, blockchain wouldn't work. So collaborating between them, they will get stronger, they will get more information, they will get a wider front to the customers and to the providers. So there are many examples right now. Like for example, in Europe, Alastria was one of the best examples where many companies united together in a blockchain, and they were sharing all the information they had about providers, customers. If there was a customer with fraud, they were sharing it, so they wouldn't commit the same problem with the same customer. If they had providers and they got certified, they got already certified for the whole community of this blockchain of SMEs. So I guess with blockchain they are going to get stronger, and they will avoid also many of the problems that corporations or bigger corporations have. Like for example, I mean, an SME has to move quicker, has to decide everything easier, and so if we combine deciding quicker, working together, and combining the information they have, I think this is one of the best examples to see that blockchain for SMEs is a reality and is not only for corporations.
Yeah, thanks. That's great. Now, here's something for you, Tobias. Yeah, you're an investor. It's a different perspective altogether. What do you look for when you make the investment? Would you make investments in the SME sector, or would you look at something beyond that? And if you have, let's share what are the investments we have made in this sector right now, or some case studies in that space. You would be able to throw some light from an investment perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very good question. I think there's a couple of ways to it, right? We are a very, very early stage investor, right? So we typically look at it at a pre-seed, seed stage, sort of pre-series A, where you would argue that's probably still, even before SME starts, typically. However, I think that a lot of our companies work with more small and medium-sized businesses, right? Because for startups, it's sometimes difficult to get sort of a contract or even attention from larger organizations, right? Because they don't want to take too much risk in that sense and betting on a company which still needs to establish itself. And like typically then they start to work with small and medium-sized businesses. So for us, the small and medium-sized businesses of the world are extremely important for our portfolio companies. However, I think you have to look at it from different layers, right? Because there's obviously, and I think especially in India and Southeast Asia, you have micro businesses, right? Really, really small companies. I don't see them using blockchain anytime soon because it's just adding a tremendous layer of complexity to daily operations, right? Things we have seen here which has worked is digitalizing those companies, right? Giving them websites, giving them access to social media, giving them access to payment, right? Where you don't have to accept cash, now you can use other players. Where I was very surprised when I came to India and everything works on, like I can send 10 rupees online, which is insane. Like in Germany, I cannot even think about this, right? But still then if you look one layer up, which is sort of the small businesses, they are looking at it, right? Because they can use, for example, the NFT side and incentivize the community to an extent. Of course, this is on a way smaller level than Meta and like all these guys are doing it, but like they also have slower decision timing, right? They don't need to go through 500 people to get approval to do it. If it makes sense, they can move forward in a week and get it done, right? But on the other flip side, you still have a lot of these SME companies being legacy companies, right? If I compare this to the German market where I come from, car companies, right? We produce one single thing of a car you never heard of, and this company is a 100 million euro business, right? But for them to use such technology is very, very difficult because everything works and still works, so why do I change it? And that's, I think, the problem or the challenge for small and medium-sized businesses also in the region that why would I change something which isn't fully clear yet and then jump right into it and probably invest a bit of capital and maybe need to hire someone else to figure it out or an external firm. But I do think that that would give, especially now the medium-sized businesses, a great head start towards competing with larger organizations, right? Because they can make things easier, they can make customer experience better, they can build higher switching costs for their particular service if they tie customers directly to their product or cut out middlemen. So for us as a fund, we've invested, like I said, in 100 different companies. Some of them died, like I think 9 or 10 of them. The rest is still around, and we had luckily 4 unicorns in the 2 funds, which we invested at a very, very early stage. And a lot of them are in various different sectors, right? So we look at supply chain, climate change I mentioned before, we look at gaming, we look at NFTs, DeFi, CDeFi, like all these different things. We had one really, really interesting case study out of Nigeria actually, right? So Nigeria, African-based company working in the supply chain side of things, work with so many different small and medium-sized businesses as they started out and grew their companies to about $1 million in ARR, as in recurring revenues. And then the government, SAP, Microsoft got attention to what they're doing and how it works and how easy it is. And now they are stepping up their game and collaborating with sort of the MNCs of the world and getting a lot more adoption. And that, at the flip side, really helps their brand, and a lot of smaller businesses now trust Check It because they work with larger companies but still on a cheaper side because they're a startup, and then that kind of gives that push. But I really encourage anyone who owns a business in that stage in India and beyond, of course, look at the technology, what it can do for you, because sometimes the applications can be implemented easier than you think they can.
Right, that brings me to one question. Do you think the time is right for having a fund specifically for SMEs?
I think yes, right? I do think yes, and there's like 3 reasons why. I think right now it's been clearer than ever before that how important these small and medium-sized businesses are. We cannot fully rely on these major national companies, as COVID also has seen how fast we can go into supply chain issues if we outsource everything. So I think the mindset is bringing back and supporting local economy a lot more. And I think we need to have funds and like supporters who drive that adoption back. A second thing is that is the talent, right? I mean, we deploy so many people in that space, and I think the reputation of working with small and medium-sized businesses is jeopardized. Everybody is striving to work for Microsoft and being a tiny piece in a larger corporation, a large engine. But if you work for a medium-sized businesses, for sure, okay, you don't have the brand image, but you can have an impact. I think way faster and way more sustainable than maybe working for one of these massive corporations. And third is because things get done faster, right? The time to decision is faster, adoption is typically faster. These companies can move faster, which then I think has a tremendous benefit to innovation of a country in general.
Right, thanks. That helps. All right, Mohammad, I'm going to ask you, we've got a very little time, but I want to really hear from everybody. Mohammad, we all know that KYC is one of the great use cases in the blockchain space. How can it be relevant for small and medium enterprise?
Sure. So I think if you look at again, I'll give UAE. I'll take UAE as an example, but SMEs are really finding it hard to open up bank accounts, let alone getting access to capital. I think just opening up an operational bank account is a major challenge for SMEs. I remember, and specifically in our part of the world, in the UAE, I'm an ex-banker. I was at Standard Chartered Bank. In 2014, Standard Chartered Bank decided that they won't serve SMEs anymore because the cost of operating is too high. I mean, the cost of acquiring is too high. Same goes for HSBC, same goes for some of these global banks. They just don't want to touch SME over there. Back in the time, local banks were a bit more receptive, but that has also shifted because there's so much reporting and compliance requirements that it's just not worth it from their perspective. So SMEs are really struggling, and I represent about 600 SMEs, so I'm quite concerned. Now, blockchain really poses an opportunity and a solution to tackle that. And KYC on blockchain can enable that challenge for financial institutions. And we actually had a go on it. Back in 2018, we have a company in our portfolio called Norblock. It's a Swedish company that actually does KYC on blockchain. So we started. The POC was with us and the technology provider Norblock and one of the local banks, where you do KYC on a blockchain, and with time you start onboarding more banks into this consortium. So let's say if we onboard a client and we have all their data on our systems, and technically everybody else is on the same blockchain, then everybody else can access all that information. The information is shared, of course, with the permission of the client, but that basically reduces cost of acquiring significantly, and specifically for SMEs. So that actually makes it much more easier for financial institutions to onboard and cater to this clientele. And this is something that's already going on, and now more and more banks have joined that consortium for KYC, in particular for SMEs.
Yeah, I think KYC is, not just a great use case, but it's also a very relevant use case. Coming back to David, you've done extensive work in Latin America, the South Americans. Do you see any similarity between working there and in India? And what similarity do you see in the small, medium enterprise? And what are the differences? Throw some light on that.
I guess, so there are many similarities. Of course, there are also some differences, as for example, the size of the countries, because India is like the whole South America. But if you take the main singularities, for example, the kind of commerce they have is very similar to the way of the commerce in India. The power of the small companies is really no. Yeah, that's okay. The power of the small companies, the families is really strong. The commerce, the family commerce is really strong. So, I guess one of the points that they have in common is that technology and digital transformation is going to help them, and it's helping them a lot. And blockchain being one part of this digital transformation is something which is helping them a lot. First, to get international, to get, for example, in South America, they have a common language, but they have different currencies, they have different laws. Thanks to blockchain, thanks to cryptocurrency, they are starting to externalize their services, which is really mind-blowing for them, because it was not easy before. Apart from that, for example, in agriculture, it's also quite common in both sides, and blockchain is also really helping a lot to bring value to the agriculture. So bringing tracking to all the goods that they are producing, bringing value to the products. Right now, there are many products that are not being well seen, like, for example, palm oil. But if you take the product, you bring traceability, you bring the name of the person who was building it, which kind of services they were implementing, which kind of goods they were using for the production, and even the name of the people who were working, and knowing that people were working with the rights that they have that they need to have. So that adds value to the whole chain. So going back to the question, I think both have very similar, a lot of similarities, and I think in both cases blockchain is helping a lot in tracking and transparency, and mainly with everything related to internationalizing the services.
Right, thanks. That's good. But do you also see the challenges in India as being any different from the challenges which you see in in South America?
In terms of blockchain, or in terms
In
of
blockchain, overall.
I mean, I have to say that perhaps coming from the same roots in India, what I see it, I mean, India, to me, it's seeing it from the outside, it's like a rocket in terms of digital transformation, in terms of innovation, and even in terms of seeing how the governments are helping or at least not stopping blockchain or digital transformation, which is not so the same in South America with a lot of political problems and not a lot of help from the governments in terms of at least not stopping new ideas related to blockchain. So I guess the challenges are more or less the same,
Yes.
but not the speed that they are bringing to them.
Right, thanks. All right, that's good to know. As for you, the next question for you, Tobias. Actually, do you think, and actually think, that blockchain can solve the very issue of accessibility to finance for a small and medium enterprise? Because that seems to be a very critical issue for small and medium enterprise, access to finance. We call it the backbone of an economy, we call it the highest generator of jobs, but then, on the other hand, we have this biggest challenge of they can't access finance. Do you think blockchain can bridge this gap, considering that blockchain has a decentralized nature anyways? So do you think this can help them not only access to finance, but to even have better, newer markets and a better economy? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think a very, very good question. Now, like blockchain still has the issue of if you put wrong information onto the chain, it doesn't get right? So like, especially when you do KYC or like all these other things, you still need to figure out a way of how to make sure that the information which reaches the blockchain is actually accurate, and then obviously the whole benefit of blockchain comes to life. Now, that's where a lot of companies still struggling in the space. And of course, there have been successful models of enabling finance or access to finance for small and medium-sized businesses. I mean, there are microfinance agencies around the world as well, which trying to do a similar thing. But ideally, what we need to figure out, and there's a very interesting approach, what I've seen in Africa, for example, as well, is when you want to get a loan for your business, you go through various different people within your community or within your village, and then they have to essentially put down the burden for you, right? So if you lend without collateral even, but you cannot go alone and say, I need X amount of dollars for my business expansion, you have to bring 3 people with you who basically are your credit score, right? And if you then default, then they will be supporting your credit. And like these are just one way of figuring out. I'm not saying that's the way to move forward, but there are really strong concepts in mind who can do that. But I think we are still early and we still need to figure out how we can actually do that. But yeah, I do think that blockchain will have a very positive impact to us solving that problem.
Yeah, that I agree completely. Well, it's a long way to go, but we've taken the first steps. We'll take the strides later. Well, that puts me back to Mohammad. Mohammad, we talk about blockchain, but we can't talk about blockchain without talking about smart contracts. So, well, I love smart contracts. I've been writing them for like the last 7 years now. But what's your take on smart contracts and the relation to blockchain, and especially with small, medium enterprise, because they don't have access to people who can write smart contracts and even access blockchains. So, could you shed some light on that?
Sure. I think surely I think smart contracts have been there for what, a few years now, and they are being used in both the crypto blockchain world, in the crypto world, but also in the conventional world. I mean, we as government, of course, have a national mandate on blockchain, and we use it for land registration and all, and also in our courts we use blockchain and smart contracts. So the use cases are many. Implementation is already there, but I am of the opinion that smart contracts are of the use of smart contracts is much more on the crypto, I mean, let's say blockchain, in the crypto world. We would want to see more uses of it in the conventional business. I mean, we would want to see, let's say, banks using smart contracts more and more. I would want to see more traditional businesses using and benefiting from smart contracts. Yeah, that's my take. I think it's amazing as a technology. It reduces costs and increases efficiency significantly, and we would want more and more conventional businesses adopt it as well.
Excellent. Now, that was one terminology of blockchain. I'm going to use another one for you. NFTs. Everybody talks about NFTs. Any relevance in the SME space? I say yes. What do you say?
Definitely. Although right now is not the best time to talk about NFTs, the winter, the crypto winter, and all the smoke around it. Tobias said it perfectly in the talk earlier, but I think everything is related to utilities and NFTs. So utilities, NFTs without utilities has no sense.
Yes.
But for example, if we mix utilities, NFTs, and for example, loyalty programs, loyalty clubs, it gives a lot of opportunities to SMEs to get closer to the customers, to know them better, and to bring them special offers that they wouldn't get without it.
That's right. Perfect. We're running out of time, so it's like a quick fire round. I'm going to ask everybody. Mohammad, what is the best use case you can think of in the Middle East in our space, in the subject what we're talking? You're last. But you've given the best one.
I don't know. From my personal background, I think KYC was great, but I think Dubai government has this great initiative. So we had a national mandate on blockchain, which was to have all government bodies on a centralized blockchain. So all your information is shared between all government bodies. It's on a centralized blockchain, and it's shared between all government bodies. I think that was quite unique.
Perfect. Quick fire. Tobias, that's for you. You mentioned one great use case in Africa. Can you name another one? Tobias, I'm speaking with you. Sure, sorry.
Yeah, actually, we invest in a company called Agrio. Agrio is solving traceability of soil, climate, and fertilizers for farmers, right? So they're trying to help farmers fertilizing and growing crops more efficient using blockchain. It's already been used, they're profitable, and I think that's something which is super exciting for Africa or India, where like farming is a massive part of the economy.
Absolutely, thanks. I know the time's up, but I'll give you 20 seconds to tell what's your favorite use case in this space.
The favorite use case, I will say, is traceability. So tracking is like
All right.
the best one.
We ran out of time, actually speaking. It's very interesting. It was going 30 minutes, way too little for such a huge sector, guys. But nonetheless, let's give a big hand to all our participants here, and let's wind up the day and have a lovely evening. Thank you, guys. Thanks from me. Raj Kapoor signing off.
All right, thank you, Anjman. Gentlemen, that actually brings us to the end of the day one for the FinTech Festival. Thank you very much for being participative here. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of things to let you know before we wrap up the day today. The award ceremony is going to be starting at 7 p.m. tonight. However, in about an hour's time, we'll open the dining area where we invite you to join us for drinks. But meanwhile, while we do this, we'd like to very quickly take this brief moment to go ahead and thank our partners who've been associated with us. And this is going to be a long list, so bear with me. Here we go. Now, we'd like to start by thanking Niti Aayog, Sustainability Partner, the Green Billions, our Powered by Partner, CoinSwitch, our Digital Asset Infrastructure Partner, Fireblocks, and our Platinum Partner, M2P. We'd also like to thank our Gold Partners, BharatPay, LIC, MoEngage, Rapider, Tails, Exclusive Networks, WebEngage, and our payments partner, ISG, Sales Acceleration Partner, Wimo, Registration Partner, CoinDCX, Notebook Partner, Bondibox, Rural FinTech Partner, Spice Money, Lanyard Partner, Card 91, Identity Verification Partner, ID5, KYC Partner, Hyperverge, Co-lending partner UB. We'd also like to show our gratitude to our silver partners, Advanced.ai, Amber, CM.com, DIFC, FIS, WorldPlay, INAI, LSEG, Nucleus Software, Perfuse, Plural by Pine Labs, SafeXPay, Tide, Zimperium, and Zaggle. A big thank you and a round of applause to our smart wearable partners, CSI, Visitor Back Partners, Data.ai, Delegate Kit Partner, Provine, RegTech Partner, Singzi, B2B Smart Card Partner, Happy, InsurTech Partner, Convergenius, and our bronze partners, Authbridge, BlockOn, Bondi Value, Bond Blocks, Checkbook, Fanada, Morningstar, Microcred, NeoFam, Pay10, PayMe, PaySprint, and ReliPay. Our DigiMoney partner, ZatPatPay, and our digital edition partners, Juicy Score and Experian. Let us also not forget to thank the people who have been really supporting us through this journey, including METI, MSME, Government of Karnataka, Government of Telangana, Startup India, Guidance Tamil Nadu, Innovate Karnataka, KTech, ELCOT, BISO, IREDA, and EPEDA. Also thanking our knowledge partner, EY, Innovation Ecosystem Partner, T-Hub, Masterclass Partner, SPJN School of Global Management, our ecosystem partner, India InsurTech Forum, TIE Delhi NCR, India FinTech Forum, FACE, and 10,000 Startups NASCOM. A huge thank also to our strategic partners, SIDA, Findexible, investment partners, Innovin Capital, IVCA, and Kona Capital, startup ecosystem partners, Startup Grind, and 10,000 Startups India. Our supporting partners, AIAI, Asia Internet Coalition, Electronic Money, CBSCA, FinTech Association of Sri Lanka, FinTech, Swedish Blockchain Association, and our block partners, ED, and our PR partners, AD Factors. Lastly, we'd also like to thank all our speakers who had joined us here during the whole session. With this, thank you once again. Please join us for drinks at 6:30 and the award ceremony at 7 p.m. Thank you.